appreciate the thoughts shared by Arundhati. You spoke well, and what went through my mind as I sat listening to you is that Arundhati has a clear mind and a practical approach. You're a very practical kind of a person. And these two actually go together. It's important for us to be practical and also at the same time be able to see the limitations of being only practical. We must also be idealistic. I'm sure that seed is already in you, so you will develop that as well. Now, yesterday, we were trying to look at the dangers in not cultivating a robust enthusiasm about something worthwhile, something of immense and enduring value in life. And in that context, I did say that if we only live by the nuts and bolts of routine life, we will use only a very small part of our energies and abilities. And to that extent, we may have existed, but we may not have lived. There's a line in Eliot where he says, living and partly living, which is a description of people in our times. Living and partly living, as against living fully. It's important for us to live our life to the full. The reason why happiness, joy, appears to have evaporated from the landscape of human experience at the present time is this. We would have imagined that with the incredible elaboration and enhancement of the accoutrements or facilities of life, the means for living, this generation is having a great time, or could have had a great time, because the means available to you could not have been dreamt of by my generation. And yet, one has to look very far and very hard to come across a happy person. And I have wondered and wondered, pondered over this for weeks and months. And that's why I'm sharing some of these insights and thoughts with you. They're not from any book. They are from the book of life. And my conclusion is, and it could be wrong, you can critique it, and next time somebody from you speaks, do critique it, because nothing gets properly understood unless it is debated. I welcome the free, uninhibited expression of human conviction. No one has to really agree with anyone on the basis of hierarchy. In intellectual matters, there is no hierarchy. In administrative matters, there may be hierarchy. In fact, there is. But nothing becomes important simply because a man who holds a higher position says it. You know, in bureaucracy, it is obligatory for junior people to laugh when the senior bureaucrat cracks what he thinks is a joke. You have to laugh. You have to find it funny. Otherwise, you could be in trouble. But intellectual life cannot be lived that way. There is no hierarchy in intellectual life. So please feel free to question what I'm saying, because you will do me a great good. I want to continue to learn. I want to move on in my pilgrimage and never get stuck on the false presumption that I have arrived. I have not arrived. I'm a seeker, I'm a learner, and wish to say so until the end. So one of the tragedies, in fact, the foremost tragedy in human life is to bypass life, is to not live your life, is to fool yourself with the illusion that you are living. You're not living at all. There is a difference between mere existence and living. I have said this to you before, but I need to remind you once again that life in its essence is a celebration. Life is not mere routine. Routine is an aspect, a necessary aspect, as I said yesterday, of life. But life is much, much more than mere routine and mere existence. Life is a festival. And it's the duty of every human being. In fact, it's the most sacred duty of every human being to manage and steward one's life knowing that it is a festival. And festival is a metaphor for fullness. You know, when the festival time comes, you dig deep into your pocket and you throw money around. Even the money that you don't have, you borrow money and spend, don't you? That's called enthusiasm. You may not have much resources in your house, but you will cook the best dishes. You may invite people. You'll say, come, share my joy. That's enthusiasm. You'll put your best clothes and you may even have a bath. And you want to look the most handsome, most charming people around. That's enthusiasm. And you may stretch yourself. You may get up very early, as Arundhati said. You may go to bed very late. That's enthusiasm. You would never give the excuse of not having time when it comes to a festival. Someone invites you and says, come, celebrate with me. You won't say, no, I don't have time. You will reach there, as Arundhati does before a basketball match, ahead of time. Now, you understand now why the scholars who live in residence on the campus of St. Stephen's College find it difficult to attend the 8:40 lecture. Why? Because there is no enthusiasm. In fact, that's the reason why I took up the subject. You remember, 3 days ago I said I'm going to talk on the subject not from a religious point of view, but from an academic point of view. That's precisely what I'm doing. So the tragedy of living life pathetically piecemeal is something that really worries me, disappoints me. Because that's not life at all. It's a caricature of life. So if we don't live our life, how can we face our own conscience? And this is the reason why a large number of people suffer continually from a feeling of discomfort, of unease about themselves. But since they do not understand the grammar of what is happening to them, they will always blame others. As a rule, people who go around creating mischief, people who go around creating turbulence, are people who are intensely uneasy with themselves because they know that they are not doing any good to themselves. They know that they have failed and are still failing to treat themselves with justice. The most important issue in life is not that others are not doing justice to you. The most crucial issue in life is that you are not doing justice to yourself. And if you don't do justice to yourself, why would somebody else do justice to you? Please think about it. And if you are a person with a passion, immediately, without your making any boast or claim about it, immediately there is an impact. The world begins to see you and experience you, relate to you very differently. Unknowingly, an aura of respect is born. Never mind you're a teenager. Never mind you're not as manly as Amitabh Bachchan is or Shah Rukh Khan is. Never mind you are not as charming as Sushmita Sen or what? Who are your beauty queens? All the Bollywood stars, all right. Never mind. Do you have something burning in your heart? You are beautiful. You are incredibly beautiful. Right? Your solution is not cosmetic. Your solution will only be existential. It is within reach of everyone to become beautiful. It is not within your option to become beautiful in your physical appearance, your complexion, the lineaments of your face, the symmetry of your body. These things are not within your reach. The best of plastic surgeons really can't help you. But what is equally and universally within reach of every human being is to be beautiful in the existential, inward, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual dimensions of that concept. And that is the good news. All right? So this was what I was trying to explain to you the other day, and I hope this is clear enough. Let me just restate it. As long as you confine yourself to a small fragment of the possibilities comprehended in you, you will remain apologetic, diffident, inwardly tormented, unattractive, not beautiful, and you will be treated rough by others. People will belittle you. People will laugh at you. This is a reality. On the other hand, if you are living your life to the full, irrespective of your physical appearance, people will respect you. They cannot help respecting you. You cannot but have an impact, a beneficial impact on your environment. You cannot but experience incredible happiness within. The way you walk will be different, the way you stand will be different, the way you talk will be different, and the way your words are received will be different. Is that clear? Now let me go on to the next. What additionally is the benefit in having an overwhelming, consummate passion, or what I yesterday called an absolute passion? Words are really not enough, not adequate when it comes to themes like this. So I have to make do with whatever is available within the limitations of my knowledge of what essentially for me is a foreign language. My mother tongue is Malayalam. And if you learn Malayalam and you give me an opportunity to address you in Malayalam, I tell you it will be a very different experience. I don't say it's a better experience, but it will be a very different experience. Even now, if you promise not to faint, I can switch over to Malayalam. Shall I? Ready? You don't know what you're asking for. All right, now we'll stay with English. I'll give you one more day to master Malayalam. Then from 3-4 days more. Monday onwards, I will be addressing the assembly in Minglish, Malayalam and English. All right? Okay. Now, what additionally is the benefit? Let me approach this question because Arundhati inspires me this morning. I don't know if you realize this. Each one of you is an inspiration for me. Now, this is the truth. This is the reason why I cannot look at a piece of paper when I speak. I need to see you. I need to look into your eyes. And I need to really draw something from you. And actually, you are providing the insights that I merely formulate in a certain fashion. That's all that's happening in the assembly. So it's not that the principle is addressing you, it is that together we are undertaking a shared journey. And step by step, we therefore discover a few things on the landscape, which is inevitable when you move forward. Now, let me put it this way. Everybody assumes, and many people complain, quite rightly too, that we are living in an age of distractions. You've heard of this? We are living in an age of unprecedented distractions. It's true. Factually, it is true. One of the great blessings when I was growing up was that there was hardly anything around. There was no radio, there was no television, there was no money, there was no fast food joint, we never had vehicles. The vehicle that I often used was a bullock cart. When I returned from school, which was a distance of 3 kilometers from my house, I had a small little bag, a sling bag where the books were kept. And one was tired, and I would never walk, I would run. And after running a kilometer or so, one would feel tired. Then one would notice a bullock cart, and you were allowed to put your bag in the bullock cart and walk along. And sometimes the driver of the bullock cart would say, "Come on, get onto the bullock cart." He'll never stop the cart. So you have to be athletic enough to leap onto the cart, and then you ride like a king. Oh, what a great experience it was. Anyway, that was my world. We really had no distractions. Right? Occasionally a family event happened, somebody got married, and other than that, absolutely no distractions. But your world is very different. It teems with, it bristles with distractions. And now because of Wi-Fi, distractions 24/7. Now, therefore, what I'm going to say may be of great relevance to you. Now, if you develop a consummate or absolute passion for something great, you will be immediately and completely protected against all distractions. Actually, the concept of distraction is an illusion. There's nothing called distraction. Distractions simply don't exist by themselves. Distractions are a byproduct. Distractions are a byproduct of what? Of not having an absorbing passion. Suppose, I've been recently criticized for referring to this again and again, I'm still going to say this. Suppose a young man and a girl are in love. They go and sit in the cafe, not our cafe, a coffee house, and they're chatting. They'll choose the quietest corner of the cafe and sit there and chat. The waiter would come and stand near them to take orders, but they would not even know that he is standing there. So one day it so happened that the boy and a girl went to a cafe, K-Nax, which is the Sylvanian lingo for Kamala Nagar. And they sat there, and several times the waiter came and stood there without being noticed. And the manager was watching all this. And he called the waiter and said, "You fool, why don't you take the orders?" He said, "Sir, I've tried my level better." He said, "You can't A table like this, go and take the order. So this time he went and made a lot of noise and said, "Sir, may I take your order? What do you want?" And the young man said, "We want only each other, you get lost." You see, distractions are a byproduct. There are two times I cannot be distracted: when I write, when I speak, because both are experiences of immense passion for me. That's why I can tell you for certain that there is nothing called distraction. If I'm speaking, if I'm writing, if 10 people are sitting around and talking, laughing, it wouldn't make a difference to me. They wouldn't exist. Right? So, if you feel, now each one of you has to address this problem in your life as students. And that's the problem of distractions, or the problem of a wandering mind. Now you should be able to understand this problem in the right perspective. It is simply because you've not found your passion in your studies. Your passion is invested somewhere else. The insignia, the hallmark of a good student is that he or she is passionate about studies. More of that later. Let's rise for prayer.